The Senate is moving forward with a final vote on President Donald Trump's sweeping tax and immigration bill, known as the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The bill has been met with opposition from Democrats, who have forced a reading of the 940-page document. Republicans, led by Majority Leader John Thune, defend the bill as delivering on Trump's campaign promises to eliminate tax on tips and overtime pay, while boosting spending for defense and border security. A vote-a-rama on amendments is underway, with no limit to the number of proposed changes lawmakers can seek. The Senate will then vote on final passage, with a procedural vote narrowly passing in a 51-49 vote after 2 Republican defections. The jury in Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial has begun deliberating after hearing instructions from Judge Arun Subramanian. Combs, a hip-hop mogul, is accused of racketeering conspiracy, 2 counts of sex trafficking, and 2 counts of transportation for the purposes of prostitution. The jury consists of 8 men and 4 women, including a 42-year-old mother of 2 who was elected as foreperson. They will decide whether Combs is guilty or not guilty on all charges. The trial has been ongoing since September 2024, with Combs pleading not guilty to all allegations. The Supreme Court has thrown out appellate rulings in favor of transgender people in 4 states, following its recent decision upholding a Tennessee ban on certain medical treatment for transgender youths. The court ordered appellate judges to re-examine cases from Idaho, North Carolina, Oklahoma, and West Virginia involving access to medical care and birth certificates. The action was unsurprising, given the court's previous decision in the Tennessee case. The San Diego Zoo is racing against time to clone endangered animals using preserved DNA. A team from the zoo is working on cloning species that are at risk of extinction, with the goal of preserving genetic diversity and preventing further loss of biodiversity. The project involves extracting DNA from frozen tissue samples and using it to create cloned embryos. While the process is complex and challenging, the team is hopeful that their efforts will help save endangered species. A woman fell from a drawbridge in Miami on June 29, 2025, suffering serious injuries to her legs. Witnesses watched in horror as the incident occurred. Investigators are currently looking into the cause of the fall. U.S.-Canada trade talks resumed late Sunday, June 30, 2025, after Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney announced that Canada would retract its plan to tax U.S. technology companies. The move comes days after President Donald Trump suspended trade talks over the proposed digital service tax. A timeline of the U.S.-Canada trade dispute reveals a complex and contentious history between the 2 nations since President Trump took office in 2024. A group of Americans who lost family members to cartel violence is urging the Trump administration to designate additional cartels as terrorist organizations. The letter, sent to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, calls for the Juarez cartel and its armed wing, La Línea, to be added to the State Department's list of foreign terrorist organizations, FTOs. This would allow victims and their survivors to sue for compensation and bar members of the group from entering the U.S. The Trump administration has already designated 8 drug cartels operating in Latin America as FTOs this year. A new Gallup poll shows that only 36% of Democrats say they're extremely or very proud to be American, reflecting a dramatic decline in national pride. The split between Democrats and Republicans is at its widest since 2001, with younger generations showing lower levels of patriotism. The decline has been a slow erosion over the past decade, driven primarily by Democrats and independents. The Supreme Court has agreed to hear a Republican challenge to limits on federal campaign spending, which could open the floodgates for coordinated spending in the 2026 midterms. The case centers on whether coordinated party expenditure limits are unconstitutional under the First Amendment. National Republican Congressional Committee Chairman, Representative Richard Hudson, and National Republican Senatorial Committee Chairman, Senator Tim Scott celebrated the Supreme Court's decision to hear their case, stating that coordinated spending is a critical part of winning campaigns.